the Games Workshop method, layering, sketch and glaze, grimdark. Do you know what these things mean? And more importantly, do you understand them? Because if you don't, you're going to encounter a real hard limitation on your abilities as a miniature painter. What I'm really talking about is style. Miniature Landscape Hobbies is proudly supported by these sponsors. Style is one of the concepts that a lot of people that are new to miniature painting probably ignore, right up until they hit a wall they can't get past. Today, we're going to take a look at style and why it's essential for your journey as a miniature painter. Mini painting is one of those hobbies that looks simple from the outside. You grab some paint, get a brush, and just go. But once you're in it, you realize very quickly it's not just about techniques. It's not just about what paint you use. It's about how you use it. Because two painters can sit down with exactly the same models, exactly the same paints and brushes, and still come up with two very different results. That's not randomness. That's style. Style is basically the system behind your painting, the way you structure your process from start to finish. And once you start to see it that way, things begin to make a lot more sense. So why should you actually care about this? Well, there are two main reasons. First, it gives you a roadmap. Instead of guessing your way through a model, I'll try this, and maybe this, you've got a clear sequence. You know what step comes next. You know what you're trying to achieve. And second, it gives you a shared language. This is huge because miniature painting is a community-driven hobby, and if you can't follow what other painters are doing, then you can't share, and that will slow down your progress a lot. Now, before we jump into the styles, I want to set expectations a bit. Everything I'm about to lay out here comes from my experience, which is about 30 years in the hobby. But, and this is important, terminology is not universal. Different groups, different regions, and even individual painters will use different terms to describe effectively the same thing. So what I'm giving you here is a framework for understanding, not a specific rulebook. Also, I'm not going super deep into step-by-step techniques here. This video is about understanding how the styles function. If you want detailed walkthroughs, I've got a lot of those already on the channel. And I just want to add one more thing. If you're thinking, I don't use a style, I'm sorry, you're wrong. You do. If you have any kind of repeatable method, you're working in a style. It might be a mix, it might not have the same name, but it's there. And finally, remember that rules are meant to be broken. Many painters won't stick with a specific style. They'll mix them, and this isn't a bad thing. For me, if I'm painting 28mm figures, I'll usually lean into a contrast style workflow to get things moving quickly. Then I'll switch to layering to sharpen up the highlights. And for skin, I almost always go more with a sketch and glaze style of technique. But if I'm painting something small, like my 1/100 scale vehicles for Flames of War, now I'm thinking about using color modulation with an airbrush, and finishing with dried brushed highlights. Same painter, different styles, and different tools for different jobs. Alright, let's start with the one everyone begins with. Flat color. And yeah, this is a style, even if it's not a very good one. You look at a part of the model, say a jacket, pick a color for it, paint it, and move on. No shading, no highlights, no variation, just one solid color per surface. Sometimes this process is called blocking in. Now, to be fair, there is a place for this. It's fast. It's also extremely simple, and if you've got only a handful of paints, it might be all you can do. But the problem is, it completely ignores how light works. When you miniaturize something, real-world lighting doesn't translate properly anymore. So as painters, we have to put that information back in. Shadows, highlights, variations in tone. Flat color just doesn't do this. So everything ends up looking kind of, well, flat, lifeless, and unfinished. Now, this idea of putting information back into the model, that's actually a deeper concept. It ties into how we perceive light, scale, and contrast in miniature painting. This is beyond the depth of this video, but if you want to dig into it properly, I've put together a free miniature painting theory guide over on my Patreon. It's completely free, there's no catch, and no paywall. It's just there to help you understand why we paint the way we do. So, if this part is already clicking for you, definitely go grab that. Next up is layer painting. This is the backbone of miniature painting, and if you aren't going to learn any other style, learn this one. At its core, layering is about building color in steps. You start with a base coat, then you add midtones. Then on top of that, you use some highlights. And sometimes you go back in with shadows. You're manually creating the illusion of light. Now, how you apply those layers can vary quite a bit. For example, the Games Workshop method is very structured. Clean base coats, defined shading, and then sharp edge highlights to really make details pop. In fact, this style is defined by putting edge highlights pretty well everywhere, including sometimes in spots that wouldn't really make a lot of sense. This is designed to look good on the tabletop, clear, readable, and with high contrast. Then you can use sketch and glaze. This is a bit more advanced. You map out your light and shadow first, almost like a rough sketch. Then you use thin layers or glazes to smooth transitions and deepen colors. It gives you a much softer, more natural look. Then there's dry brushing, which is technically a technique, but this fits well here. You load your brush, wipe most of the paint off, and lightly drag it across the surface. The paint catches on raised details. This is fast, it's effective, and honestly, when it's done well, it can look really good. Some painters use dry brushing just for highlights. Others build almost the entire workflow around it. What are the pros to layering? It's flexible, it works on everything, and it teaches you control. Cons, for the most part, layering takes time. And if you're painting an army, that time adds up. Fast. Now we get to contrast painting, and this is where things begin to speed up. The idea here is that you add your lighting before you add your color. So instead of building up from a flat color coat, you start by creating a value sketch, usually something like a dark gray up to a pure white. Often this is done with dry brushing, but not always. So by the time you add paint, the model already has light and shadow built in. Then you use translucent paints, like contrast paints or speed paints, and these react to the underpainting. They settle into the recesses and stay lighter on the raised areas. And just like that, you've got shading and highlighting working together. A big variation on this is slap chop. That one starts from black. Then you aggressively dry brush up through multiple grays to pure white. This means that your contrast is much stronger right from the start. The result is that you get a darker, moodier look that people associate with the grimdark universe that's popular right now in games like Trench Crusade and Warhammer 40,000. Now here's the reality. Most people don't stick specifically to contrast painting. They mix it up a bit. They'll use contrast paint to get 80% of the work done quickly, then go back in with layering to refine things and sharpen edges. You can also fix colors that don't behave well and push focal points. And honestly, this hybrid approach is becoming the standard. It's fast, it looks good, and it scales really well for painting entire armies. The downside here? It depends heavily on your underpainting. If your dry brushing is messy or uneven, it shows, and some colors just don't cooperate. So you still need those layering skills to back it up. Last one, color modulation. This is where the airbrush comes in. You can think of this as layering, but instead of using a brush, you're using controlled sprays of paint. You start with a darker base tone, then gradually spray lighter tones where the light would naturally hit, like top surfaces, edges, and along junctions between panels. You're building smooth transitions here, and very quickly. And because it's all sprayed, you don't get brush marks, which makes it perfect for vehicles, armor plates, and anything with large or curved surfaces. Now, in miniature wargaming, you almost never see this used on its own, because it tends to be a bit too subtle. Miniatures need exaggerated contrast to read properly at a distance, so usually you'll combine this with traditional highlights afterwards. Edge highlights, panel lining, that kind of thing. The big downside here? Well, it's obvious. You need an airbrush, and you need airbrush paints. That's a lot of expense, and a whole new set of skills, and a new learning curve for you to discover, which you just simply may not have the time to do. So what's the takeaway? Styles aren't rules, they're tools, and they need to be treated that way. They give you structure, they give you common language, and they give you options. If you want to improve as a painter, you need to understand them, try them, and then start mixing them up. Because that's where things really start to click. You stop copying, and you start becoming an artist. I'll be back soon with more miniature painting tutorials, product reviews, and terrain tips. In the meantime, I'd really appreciate it if you'd consider joining my Patreon. Right now, there's also an extra benefit for members at all tiers, even free members, and that's an exclusive guide to mastering miniature painting theory. This handcrafted PDF will enhance your painting skills. I pretty much guarantee it. And best of all, you can get it completely free as a thank you for taking interest in miniature landscape hobbies. Just sign up for the free Patreon membership tier. No credit card required, no strings attached. See you next time for more miniature gaming, painting, and diorama videos. But most importantly, until then, remember to keep building life in miniature.